This is my salvage Audi R8, and these are the controversial white wheels that I just installed. I went back and forth quite a bit on what color to commit to. After they were mounted, I got a lot of feedback from a lot of people. But like every opinion ever, you have to take it with a grain of salt. Some of the feedback was good, but the positive feedback came from people who don't have the heart to tell me otherwise. Like my mom and dad. Other people really, really hated it. Essentially everyone who's not my mom or dad. So before you offer me your feedback, you have to fully understand the purpose of this Audi R8. Every single project I work on in this shop shares 3 objectives. Number 1, it has to be watchable, like watchable. Would I go on the internet and watch somebody take their silver car and paint it silver and then make the wheels like black or silver like everybody else? No, it's gotta be watchable. Number 2, the car has to remain sellable. If I painted the wheels purple or pink, that would really help to make it watchable, but it would really hurt in making it sellable. I don't plan on selling this car anytime soon, but it is a 1-car garage. And number 3, easily the most important one that we put on the list, and sometimes in my projects, the objective I forget the most, is to have fun. Oh, they'll do half a gallon. It's LX7W.
Is that the silver?
Yeah, it's ice silver, I think it's called. Just kind of a garbage name.
What are you working on now?
I'm doing another R8.
Reducer and a quarter sealer.
How much?
$4.49.
Dude, I love that.
Just want to make sure you got everything right.
Thank you. See you, boys. Although a bunch of the panels that I purchased came in the correct color for our R8, a lot of what I purchased will also need to be painted. The parts of the car that have already been painted don't need anything more than just repainting. It's the raw materials that can't simply be painted. The front bumper is the only raw material panel that we have to deal with. It's brand new. I don't even remember where I bought it, but somebody had a brand new one for sale. If you spray color right on top of raw plastic, it just doesn't stick. You have to put something down for the paint to stick to. And that's why people use primer. The quality of our paint job will be defined by the next few moments. And that's because this is the first layer of our paint job. It's the first layer to be applied to the bumper, which means every layer thereafter, like the paint layer, will be stuck right to it. Just like you can't spray paint directly on the plastic, you can't even spray primer directly on the plastic. It's far too dirty to do that. So I'll use an abrasive, gritty feeling water-based cleaner on a Scotch-Brite pad. If you started sanding this before cleaning it, you would embed all of the dirt and contaminants directly into the plastic with the sandpaper. These are the small details that help ensure you end up with a paint job that really sticks, at least theoretically. Once you're sure all of the surface contaminants have been removed, it's safe to move on to sandpaper. Quickly into sanding it for the first time though, I realized this is not raw plastic. This bumper does in fact have primer on top of it. And that means I could paint right over top of this bumper, if it weren't, of course, for the deep scratches covering the entire thing. Before spraying our first coat of anything, we have to fix the scratches. So we'll use a little bit of body filler, and then we'll use our own primer. Remember, if you skip the most important steps now, you'll pay for them in the form of quality later. Ask me how I know. One of the problems with doing body work right now is the temperature. It's 51 degrees. Most of the chemicals we use doing body work prefers maybe 70 degrees. So I'll use my heat gun to heat up the plastic and try and get it to more of a room temperature before I apply any of the body filler that's been sitting in a cup of hot water. I'm also shutting down the garage, which is insulated, and cranking up the heat to give our paint job every last chance that it has at sticking to our bumper. Just a little dab of this stuff on my putty knife fills in just about any scratch I can come up with. And this bumper has come up with quite a few scratches. Fortunately, they're not too deep because deep scratches are much harder to fill. But for filling in pinholes, it really works great. Looks like we got just about everything filled. Once the body filler is completely dry, every little spot gets sanded perfectly smooth. After sanding, the components are covered in dust and they have to be completely washed and free of all contaminants and allowed to completely dry before we can move on. So I'm just looking at this paperwork that came with our primer again. It says here you can spray it in as cold as 55 degrees. And come to think of it, right now it's 55 degrees. And that means I can spray in a much more ventilated location outside, assuming the parts are first completely dry. The primer is actually pretty thick, so thick it can fill the smallest of scratches on the surface of our bumper. But because of that, it's like stirring peanut butter, the kind where the oil sits on the top. The problem is that once the primer is mixed, it's really only sprayable for about 30 minutes. It's always satisfying to spray the initial primer because it leaves such a uniform surface and a uniform color. So we'll let those 2 coats of primer dry on the bumper, which gives us time to clean our paint gun. If you look closely, you can see the black paint here is from our Bentley rebuild, and the white right next to it is from our Lamborghini rebuild. With every crashed sports car that I've rebuilt, I've always just turned the car back to the way it came from the factory. Now, I don't know what happened to me, but I'm just kind of over it. I'm not over rebuilding exotic cars. As far as I'm concerned, that's like the coolest job in the world. I'm just kind of over making them look like regular traffic again. This is turning out good. Although I'm painting this one its original silver color, once it's back to baseline, we're gonna change the way it looks.
Hello?
Hi, is this a wrap shop?
Yeah, this is Rick Shops.
Hey, how you doing? I have a car that's being painted, and I wanted to know how long you'd have to wait before you'd wrap it.
Was it done professionally?
No, I'm painting a bumper, and I'd like to have it wrapped afterwards.
Okay. So I typically tell people about 60 days.
And then is that the same for PPF and wrap?
Yes.
Oh shoot, okay, I thought you could PPF it sooner. All right.
No, PPF is actually a lot stickier of a material.
Thanks, man.
Not a problem.
All right, take care.
All right.
Well, if you can't tell what I'm trying to do, I want to finish painting this car, then I want to PPF it, and then I want to wrap it. Well, I don't want to PPF it. I want to have somebody else put on the paint protection film, but I want to wrap it. Well, that's kind of a bummer, isn't it? I really don't expect or feel like or plan on waiting 30 days between painting and doing something cool with this car. That means I'm either going to paint the Audi R8 and sell it, or the Bentley has to go so I can buy another car. In fact, one of these cars is actually already sold. And I'll give you one hint, it's not the car with the dysfunctional parking brake.
Wow, she is pretty. You want to hop in and go for a ride?
Dude, take it.
What do you mean take it?
Go down, this is a
come with
cul-de-sac. I don't know, I'm not huge on getting in the car with people. You seem like a nice dude, but
yeah, but I want
Dahmer's a nice dude too.
I want to take it on the main road a little bit. Can we get on the main road?
Yeah, dude, go. I want you to do it.
You don't want
but
to
I
come
didn't.
with me?
I took the tag off though.
No, you don't want
do you
to
have
I have a tag.
I mean, I normally would like to come with you, but I have rules, man.
What
I gotta
rules?
follow rules. I don't get in cars with people.
Do what?
I don't get in cars with people.
You don't?
No.
Never?
No.
Why not?
I got a weird thing about that.
No, but why? Who cares?
I mean, if I don't know, if you were like my neighbor,
I know,
I'd
but
do
why
it.
wouldn't you get in the car? You want me to go grab my dealer tag? Sure you don't want to ride with me?
I would love to ride with
Come on,
you,
let's
but
go.
no, I'm not riding with you.
No?
But thank you for the offer.
What the heck is your problem?
I don't get in cars with people.
All right, all right.
So yeah, you know how to run it and drive it, right?
Well, I didn't have push start on mine.
Yeah.
I had to stick the key. Do you still have to stick the key in on this one?
No, it's an option if the battery's dead.
Cool. Sounds good, man. Let me take it around the block. I'll be right back, Ed.
Dude, just don't put it in anything.
What?
I'm just kidding.
Don't say that before.
Have fun.
Get in.
I'm not getting in the car with you.
All right, see ya.
Very nice guy. A lot of energy. I hear sirens. That's interesting. I wonder what he thought. First impression?
I don't like it. Hey, dude, I love it.
Dude, these cars are fast.
It's a good car, man. I love it.
Yeah. Yev, you know what?
Hey.
We should make a YouTube channel together.
Dude, you know what? Let me tell you something.
You've got YouTube energy.
Well, a lot of people like my energy.
Yeah, YouTube would love your energy.
Let me tell you this, Ed. I've watched your videos.
Yeah.
You like all the same guys I like. Yeah, just crank it on up. Yeah, gorgeous.
Check it out, man. Pretty cool.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, manual or gate.
Does it click? Does it do a little
Oh,
click?
it's real clunky.
Dude. It smells good in here too. Pretty good, huh? Are you gonna be done with this one soon?
No, you're gonna be okay.
Me?
It's gonna be good.
I think it's gonna be great, man. Especially, I like it that you've been driving it, you know?
Oh, I drive it. I drive all these cars.
Ed, nice to meet you, man. Let me give you a little hug, okay? Nice to meet you, man.
Take care, dude.
I like your style. Thank you,
Yeah.
man.
Thank
you. On the Audi, we'll stay in touch, okay?
I will.
Maybe through text, even if you get cool new stuff, even whatever you buy with that money, send it to me.
Sounds good.
Before the YouTube, okay?
Oh man, you want insider information.
Good night.
Take it easy.
Nice to meet you, man.
I don't really enjoy selling cars at all, but that was a pretty cool guy to get to know. He was friendly, and I think he's gonna really enjoy the Bentley Continental. Or he's gonna flip it and make a fortune off of my stupidity and impulsiveness to sell cars. More importantly, our front bumper is ready for paint, but the rear bumper is not. And neither is this rocker cover. Both panels need significant prep. The muscle hiding behind every beautiful paint job is within the sanding step. Sanding is everything. It hides mistakes, it hides damage, it hides previous identity. And when you're rebuilding a salvage car, nothing helps bring the car back to life than to rekindle its identity. These cars are literally one step away from being completely dismantled to never be driven again. So spending an entire afternoon or even an entire weekend with 400 grit sandpaper and a whole lot of elbow grease, you can re-establish a car's identity from the ground up, a car that deserves a second chance. Piece by piece, part by part, dust inhalation by dust inhalation. You remove, you repair, and then at some point, you replace. The hardest part, well, one of the hardest parts about painting is making this color look like this color. The parts that I'm about to paint have to match the car, but notice the parts that I'm about to paint, the parts are also going to have to match each other. And if I paint this silver and this silver, they're probably gonna look like two different silvers. And when did all of the stone get here? I wasn't really thinking a moment ago when they just dropped off all of this stone, but now I have no way of getting the Audi out of the garage. That means we just lost our paint booth. Fortunately, I have two paint booths. The garage is a great place to paint, but if it's occupied by an unmovable object, you have to have a plan B. All right, it's not a paint booth, but I do have a tent. Don't I have a tent? I thought I had a tent. Don't I have a tent? Where's the tent? Oh no. I think I remember what happened to my tent. I was painting the Bentley and a storm came through, right? Did I repaint those parts without a tent? Change of plans. I don't think I have a paint booth or a tent. So I guess we're just gonna wing it. Again, well, as usual, this is certainly going to get interesting. I can promise that. The problem with painting outside is really just the wind, the bugs, and the rain. And a tent helps control those variables, at least a little bit. So join me in painting what might be my, fifth car outside? So in order to get our paint the best opportunity at matching, we're gonna start with a sealer. Sealer is gray. Right now, all of those parts out there are different colors. So the theory is, if we make everything gray, every color that we place on the panels thereafter should match. The best part about this point forward in the paint job is that nothing that I'm about to spray needs to be sanded anymore, assuming it doesn't start to rain on our wet paint. It's raining. That's why this takes a while. 40% chance of rain at 6 o'clock. It's now 2 o'clock and all of my parts are covered in water. So we'll start all over again. I figure I can either move all the stone from the driveway and then back the car out, which allows me to paint in the garage, or I can order a new paint booth. I'm not exactly sure which can happen faster, so I'm gonna order the paint booth while I also move the stone. If the paint booth arrives in time, I'll use it, and if not, I'll at least have all of this gravel moved, which should open up our garage for painting. I started an unrelated garden project over the weekend, and I had the stone delivered to make the garden area level. May Amazon Prime have Godspeed. And Godspeed they have. Please tell me you heard what I just thought I heard. Oh, thank God. Painting outside has a great advantage in the form of ventilation. Aside from that, there are many issues. Bird poop seems to fall out of the sky. Wind blows from left to right, affecting the paint coming out of your gun. It rains very randomly, and sometimes the sun just straight up cooks what you're trying to paint. So setting up some form of 3 to 4-sided structure can help prevent catastrophe. I'm thinking now we should be pretty much protected from unpredictable weather, as long as we forget what happened during the Bentley paint job. Although now the rain seems like less of a threat, the wind has certainly picked up, which brings with it its own potential complications. As long as they remain potential, not really worried about it. When you mix up the paint, you have a good hour to spray it before it goes bad. So every time I mix it up like this and then have to throw it away because of a mistake I make, it's a giant waste of money and a waste of product that I only have so much of. So let's give our first layer, which is sealer, a second chance. Well, really, I'm the one that needs a second chance. The wind might make this a little interesting, but so does just about every other part of how I do this. See you when it's over. Spraying filler on our body panels gives a nice smooth surface for our next layer, the paint, to stick to. It also helps convert all the different color panels that we have to one uniform gray color. The sealer went on much better this time around because it wasn't raining. And now we can move on to the color coat, which is called Cool Silver. I thought it was supposed to be ice silver, but we're too far along to turn back, so I'm not even gonna look into it. And Cool Silver sure looks pretty cool. This is where I usually mess up my paint jobs, on the color coat. So let's do nothing different than we normally do and hope for a different outcome. Our tent seems to be holding up nicely. So paint goes on as 3 medium wet coats with 10 minutes in between. There's something going on the surface of our rocker panel. It's really rough, too rough to paint. I don't know what's happening here. I'm gonna sand this down, which might end up proving to be a grave mistake. The paint is mixed and it's on the gun that's sitting in the dirt. I'm gonna let this dry out in the sun for a bit and paint the rest of this stuff and come back to the rocker panel when we're on our second coat. It was on the first coat of spraying the silver color that the roof of our tent was trying to blow off. And not shortly thereafter, the entire tent lifted off the ground. Painting is athletic. It not only requires good core strength, but impenetrable mental toughness. Because just when you think you have control over the situation, that's when things start to implode. Okay, everything's fine. Everything's fine. So the wind has become public enemy number 1 right now. I've removed all of the walls from the tent. I'm thinking the only way this gets worse is if it rains. Well, now for our second coat, we're not gonna have any protection from the elements like wind or rain or bugs, but I don't know what else to say. I mean, we're trying to get a good paint job and the tent is blowing into our wet paint, so let's try it again without any protection this time. I think now we'll just have to spray between wind gusts. So with 3 failed attempts at painting and 1 overnight tent deeming itself useless, I was finally able to lay down some cool ice silver. This has actually turned into kind of a nice paint job. There aren't any huge mistakes on any of the panels. Well, given the circumstances, that actually went okay. Ooh, there's a lot of overspray on the screen. I would typically do 1 more coat of color, but I really don't want to press my luck today, so we're gonna move on to clear coat. Ooh, making a mess. Every step of this process is unforgiving, but clear coat is sort of like the boss at the end of the video game. It's not any harder to beat the boss. It's sort of like the same skills you used all along, but it is the main event. So let's go beat the boss. We'll try and find a few windows of windless opportunity to spray our clear coat. Clear coat is really sticky, so I'll wear this suit. Now, although this seems like a reasonable environment to finish our paint job, Let me just make this very clear that there will be dozens, if not hundreds, of very small insects embedded within our Audi R8. Their identity will live on. With the paint job wrapped up on all these parts, it's basically time to walk around with clenched butt cheeks. Because if you scratch anything at this point, we're starting all over. Like at the very beginning. So let's not do that. There's my pal from FedEx. What's up, dude? How you doing?
Everything good?
Yeah, man, good.
Today?
Yes.
What project you working on right now?
I got an R8.
It's looking nice. You got rid of the Lambo?
I sold the Lambo. I sold the Bentley.
Damn, the Bentley was nice.
By tomorrow, it should look back together.
I'll swing by, check you out.
Yeah, dude, awesome. Thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you.
All right, see ya. The quarter panel is gonna go on first. And the quarter panel got a really good paint job, but there's a bunch of junk in the clear coat. The iconic, oh, my shin. I hit my shin. Ah, the tow hook, the freaking tow hook. Damn, that is stiff. What was I saying? Oh yeah, the iconic R8 side blades, they're going on next. Everybody watch your shins. You know by now that I'm wrapping the car, you're probably wondering why I'm bothering to put it back together like this if it's just gonna be wrapped. And it's because this car has to be inspected before I can get the title. Whoever it is that ends up inspecting our car to get us our title, I don't want them looking at a wrapped car wondering if I'm hiding anything underneath. And I'm not hiding anything, so I might as well show that off with the factory paint job. This way they don't even think that I'm up to no good. That'd be a waste of just about everyone's time. Cool. The front bumper needs to be assembled next, and there are about a dozen parts that have to come off of this old one so I can put them on the new one. The safest place to start is by swapping the grill off the old bumper and placing it on the new bumper. That affords us the opportunity to flip the bumper over, and we'll be resting the bumper now, not on new paint, but on that old grill. The trickiest part is getting this wiring harness out of the old bumper and into the new one and installing it correctly. Plug in your side marker lights and your bumper is ready to mount. For some reason, this bumper is much lighter than the last one. And that's because the old bumper had a heavy fiberglass lip on the bottom, and our new one will be carbon fiber. Once I get the bumper on, I'll be able to tie in the frunk, and the front end will be effectively complete. Remember what I said about bird poop falling out of the sky? Here's my new bumper, fresh bird poop. Wasn't kidding. Thankfully, the paint was dry enough that it rinses right off. I think, yeah. Oh yeah. If I carefully flip the bumper over, oh my God, I should be able to install the wiring harness. These rocks really gotta go. I bought a new wiring harness a few months ago. It's brand new in the box and was manufactured in 2013. For whatever reason, our crashed car had no wiring harness in the bumper. That means it was also missing its parking sensors. So I bought 3 of them and painted them, but interestingly, they're the same bumper sensors that are on every Volkswagen car. So they were only a couple dollars each. I'll install the ugly diffuser just for inspection purposes, but we should have a new one coming. I can't remember if it's painted or carbon fiber, but it's a lot nicer than this one. Fitting the bumper will say a lot about the quality of our repair because the rear bumper is where most of the damage took place from the accident. This last piece that goes on has me laughing because I never unwrapped it. I was certain I was finished taking wrap off of this car. Spoke too soon. Cool. Well, aside from some very minor details, we've got an Audi R8. This pile of stone now, though, is a not so minor detail, and it's in the way of me showing off my car. There's some leftover evidence that this is an auction car. I'll show you in a sec, and I want to remove that evidence. One of the last things I do when a project is nearing completion, first stall, is get the car outside for what I call an auction lot detail. I just have to figure out if I can get out without moving any more stone. Getting stoned has really delayed this project. So if I can sling some rock out of the way, cut the wheel as hard as she goes, and drop it in 4-wheel drive low, we can finally look past our rock pile, once and for all. With the car outside, out of the garage, we can clean it up and get a good look at our brand new paint job. But if you look too close, you'll see some residual history of this car's ugly past. When an auction car has a dead battery, the auction duct tapes the windows shut to keep any water from getting in, but unfortunately it leaves behind residue. They also paint lot markings onto the car for easy identification, and top it off with a big white sticker with the car's year and which insurance company owns the car. Now there's no confusion, the R8 is ours. Now that the car runs and drives, we can actually get it inspected so that I can get a title for this car. If you pass the inspection and get your rebuilt title, we can then take it to Audi and put it on the alignment rack, because we have to make sure this car goes straight. Getting the car on the alignment rack will be the most interesting thing, because if the car doesn't align, then all of this time and all this money was a waste. And then the only other thing I forgot to do, other than what I just told you, I forgot to paint the door handles. So in the meantime of doing all these things, I also forgot to tell you that I bought another car. And it's all-wheel drive, it's turbo, and it's manual.
Boom, boom, boom.